you want to play solos and they have to be perfect. Or you want to improvise and it has to be perfect improvisations all the time. See, that's cool because it shows that you're ambitious. And being ambitious is great. But when perfect is your standard, when perfect is your ideal, you don't have an ideal. You don't have a standard because nothing is perfect. Perfect means like a godly version of just every note comes out just right. Everything you play comes out just right. The whole structure of the solo is just right. Everything is just right. It's perfect. That's not, nothing in the world is like that. You might hear somebody play something that you think sounds perfect, but if you ask the guy or the guyzette that is playing what you think is perfect, he or she's going to say, no, that's not perfect. I developed since then. It's kind of flawed. So nothing is perfect in our own perception. So when you have a standard that's non-existent, then you don't have any standard. Then you don't have any ideal. So instead of that ideal of perfect compared to what, you need to focus on some other things when it comes to soloing or playing. Maybe whether or not you communicate the right emotions. Right? Maybe whether you get the message through. Maybe whether it's super entertaining, right? And I can guarantee you one thing. If you go on stage and you're good at going on stage, and if you play solos and you're good at that, and if you communicate with the audience and you're also good at that as you're playing solos, you don't have a perfectionism standard because you can't do all those things while expecting to be perfect. It's the overall picture that is perfect, you could say, right? But not the element in itself, So what do we do about this? Well, we basically do jam track practicing. If it's soloing, that's your problem, you could say. Then you basically play and play and play. And you move on whenever you're not playing anything that's super perfect. You do as well as you can and move on. And you stop this idea in your mind and this little punishment, because that's what we do when we focus on perfectionism, that every time we don't play something perfect, we go, darn it, and you play solo, right? So you have negative reinforcement, you could say, every time you make a mistake. But if you can make a mistake, and it's not a mistake, like Bob Ross, right? We don't make mistakes when we're painting. We only have happy accidents. Why do we have happy accidents? Because whatever we play, we use, right? So you play, instead of going that, instead of that being your default reaction, you train yourself to go, right? So what's the mistake? That was a happy accident. I used it. I can even repeat it right? Over and over again, right? Let's say I hit another note, right? That's really ugly. Right? If I'm playing in the A blues scale, right? And I hit this, it doesn't fit anywhere, right? So I go. You can't hear the background music, but if that was blues, that would sound awful, right? Right? It's only our mindset that really takes every mistake we make and make it, right? And that comes from practicing, because we practice. And every time we don't play right, according to, we're trying to build some skills. And in that context, we're making mistakes. And you shouldn't make mistakes. Don't make mistakes. Never make mistakes when you're practicing, unless you're playfully trying to improvise, right? But when it comes to picking mistakes, fretting mistakes, whatever it is, you don't want to do them over and over again, because that's what you become good at then. But when we come from a lot of practice to performing, we really need to ease up that response to whenever we're not playing as we expect it, then the negative reinforcement has to go. We have to practice performing, and you do that by putting on a jam track and then allowing yourself to make happy accidents happen, right? Where you say, okay, I wonder what I'll play next. I wonder what challenges I will create, right? The next time I hit a note, or when I can't really stop. If you have a track running in the background, right? That's a track, right? If you have something running in the background and you're unable, unable to end your lines. That's a very common problem. Right? You don't know what to do, how to end that line logically. Then just hang on the note. Right? If I don't, the key is, if I don't have a concept in my mind that, what happened there was I wanted to play a really cool run and then I couldn't end it in the right way, and then I made a mistake. If that's your mindset, if that's what you hear, then you're going to make a mistake because you're going to have that negative feeling inside that stops you from playing. But what you really want to do is that you want to train yourself to be curious about what's the next thing I'm going to play that I'm going to use. So if you play a run like, and you don't know what to do, what's wrong about that? Right? It's only in your mind there's something wrong. Right? So see, I'm not stopping now. I'm just right? So there's really no mistakes unless you have that pattern in you that stops you every single time something happens that's not expected. And that's an exercise you can do with a jam track in the background. Just go over and over again to untrain you from this idea that there is such a thing as mistakes. I hope I'm making sense here, because it really is that way. You're under hypnosis. Whenever you play something and that didn't go in the way I expected. Yeah, life doesn't go the way you expected, right? But that's not a mistake. You just use whatever comes your way. Right? And the same thing goes here. But you have to practice that because we're so used to practicing and looking at mistakes as mistakes. Hope that makes sense. See you in one of the other videos here.